There we go. Fantastic. Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. I am thrilled that you are going to be joining us tonight or listening to this later on audio podcast. Tonight is a very special episode with one of my great friends, Dr. Janice Hughes. She is tuning in from Colorado. I believe, Doc, are you in Colorado still?
Yes, still
awesome.
In Colorado. Different place, transition house, still in Colorado.
So, Doc is in transition right now, and so I will let her kind of share some things going on in her life after we get back from our first break. But I want to say that we are going back to back today. Dr. Daniel today and this afternoon, and now this with Dr. Janice Hughes. We are giving you as much value, as much content to take away from it at the beginning here of season 6 of the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. So I'm stoked to have you guys joining us, and we will be right back from thanking our initial sponsors. See you soon, guys. To Inspire Women is the elite boutique coaching company for chiropractors who are looking to live life and run business in a way that is personal, unique, and authentic. They focus on business systems and money mindset mastery so you can pay down debt, be more profitable, and serve more people. Their goal is to empower you to achieve success by your own rules and your own definition. Head to toinspirewomen.com now because they know there's a better way. Chiro HD, superior cloud-based practice management software. Chiro HD is a user-friendly, all-in-one solution to help you run your practice like a boss. Learn more at chirohd.com. Total Clinic Solutions is your go-to source of brand new and refurbished chiropractic equipment, as well as phone support for repairs and maintenance. Call Derek and allow him to combine your wishes and his 23 years of chiropractic equipment expertise to find what's best for you and your patients at 704-622-4089 or head to totalclinicsolutions.com now. It's time that chiropractors look beyond spinal alignments and measured the nerve connections that keep our patients feeling strong and performing at their peak. CLA designed the Insight scanning technologies to transform exams and generate powerful reports that give practitioners the certainty they have been searching for. Learn how CLA has partnered with practices around the world by going to InsightCLA. Spinal hygiene products are designed to educate your patients on lifetime care. To learn more about how spinal hygiene products work and to download the patient educator for free, visit Spinal Hygiene Co. Again, that's spinalhygiene.co. Easily share your passion for chiropractic and look good doing it with Above Down Apparel, offering a premium lineup of principled apparel that's impossibly soft, sustainably sourced, and chiropractic AF. Visit abovedown.co and follow them on Instagram to learn more and score yourself some sweet chiro swag. Sked is the all-in-one system that allows for amazing control and flexibility of your scheduling. Yes, your next new hire. Every aspect of when and where you service your customers is at your command. Sked is tightly integrated with your existing EHR system. This software was made by a chiropractor specifically for chiropractic. No joke. Go check out their latest care plan feature by heading to go.sked.life/legendarypod. Product and marketing strategist, bridging the gap in your vision strategic plan. He will help you design specific products and processes that are both scalable and up to produce long-term revenue and growth. He has previously worked with influencers that include Dr. Josh Ack, Jordan Reuter of Ancient Nutrition, Olympic gold medalist Shawn Johnson, and many, many others. Schedule your call with Dr. Dave today by heading to meetwithdrdave.com. Training the best adjusters on the planet. Syntropy has reverse engineered what the masters do naturally. From the energetics to the mechanics, they've hacked the code to shorten your learning curve on the road to masterful adjusting. To find a seminar near you, head to syntropychirotraining.com. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. Fantastic. Welcome back to the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reuter, and tonight we have our guest star, Dr. Janice Hughes. Doc, go ahead, have the virtual floor. It is yours to share a little bit about yourself, what's going on in your life right now, and then we're going to get into some pretty amazing topics when it comes to opening up during this pandemic, and then really how we can mark ourselves as leaders in the future of this profession. So go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny, for having me. I love being able to be part of with Dr. Dan earlier, and kicking off the beginning of your season 6. So thanks for having me.
Of course.
And hi, everyone. It's terrific to reconnect with lots of people I know, get introduced to some of you virtually like this that I haven't met yet. It's really an interesting time in the world, as we all know, and the only thing I know how to do, in essence, if anything, I've been busier right now than I've been in years. I've heard that a lot of profession. So I know people all different eras of their career. And that gives me the opportunity that I'll have my cell phone number. And it's almost like during this time, I think people have needed kind of a voice of reason or a connection with people that are like-minded. Let's face it, what happens when we have all been on our own health journey, whether you're a chiropractic student, whether you're a new grad, whether you're a doctor 2 years in, 5 years in, 20 years in, we know that a lot of times we don't think like the average person, and we don't buy into some of the, I'll call it propaganda or, the things that are being talked about right now. So I think from that perspective, it's a really wonderful time for me. It's forcing me my mindset home. Because let's face it, we get affected in ways. I'm not starting a practice and I'm in private practice, but there's a lot of things happening. One of my sons just graduated on Thursday. Just graduated to what, in essence, and so I have some real concerns about the future for a lot of young people. I've been trying to put things in perspective. I'm Canadian and my parents are still living in Canada and obviously isolated right now, but to kind of help people put things in perspective, we have as many new people unemployed in the US as the entire population of Canada. And you start talking about those kinds of things. So it's a crazy time in the world. So I'm excited. Let's get into some content talking about, from my perspective, I understand that there's a lot of fear. At the same point, we do it chiropractically. Because I believe that still, and I've been talking about for years, that as chiropractors stepped into our rightful leadership role for public health. Not just about your practice, but in your community representing public health. And, what are the things that are important? It's good nutrition, exercise, positive mental attitude, good sleep, and a balanced nervous system. Your ability to adapt. It's really powerful time for chiropractic and chiropractic philosophy, but only if we step into that, Johnny.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And off camera, but in the pre-show, Dr. Janice and I were talking a little bit about how can we kind of angle ourselves as those leaders, right? And really step this, own it, right? And if this is the case, if a pandemic is going to come every, 5 to 100 years and it's have to wake us up, right? We're gonna be long gone before we actually commit and take the time to step up as leaders in chiropractic, and for not only leaders in chiropractic, but leaders with chiropractic for the health of the general public, right? And that's what we're all about.
Right. Yeah, it's bigger. It's health and well-being. Yeah. And one of the things I was talking to Johnny about is the more I look into the challenges. Let's face it, for some of you about to graduate with nothing but debt, this can be an incredibly frightening time. But look at trends through other recessions. 2008 was a really challenging financial time for a lot of people, and through all of these different eras where there's been economic challenge, they always call it a list of sort of 7 different fields or industries that seem to rise up, that seem to thrive. And as I started to research, I would have thought it was tech, meaning new tech coming out. And tech's there, but it's actually number 7. Number 1 is really people making decisions about purchasing things, using their dollars to purchase things that empower them health-wise. Dealership, a lot of times they buy like running shoes, something to go out to be able to do that anywhere. The second major trend through every downturn economically is people putting dollars into hands-on healthcare. So they want, like some very wealthy people, they want concierge. They want like almost to secure their own, personal chiropractor, personal MD, but for the average person in the population, it's that they're looking for someone to hear them, touch them, listen to them, and let's face it, right now, this pandemic, where our kids are supposed to be 6 feet away from each other at desks in school, like are supposed to be isolated, like just crazy things that they're floating, like chiropractic and your ability to analyze someone, assess subluxations, adjust people, allow people to feel and experience that. I think it's an unbelievable time for chiropractic.
Yeah, I could not agree more with everything that you said. And one of the things I want to touch on that you said in our brief conversation was, what am I doing? I'm trusting in the principles, right? And always going, and I've heard this from many chiropractors who if they've faced personal, professional, educational crisis, it has not only been averted, but it has been solved through relying on the 33 chiropractic principles. So it's tapping into that and understanding where we come from and now how to apply that to our future and to the leading of the health to better, or leading of the public to better health, right? I firmly loved that you said that. You're like, I'm trusting the principles, right? And that's what we have to do. But we don't always think about it when crisis is right in front of us, right?
No, because let's face it, it's really easy to talk about these things when times are good. Mm-hmm. Success principles, any principles, chiropractic principles, success principles. A lot of people practice success principles when it's really easy. Right. But what happens when the rubber meets the road? And I think it's really key. Like the key fun of adjustment is allowing the body to adapt. Taking pressure, allowing to, deal with that subluxation, allowing the nervous system to more effectively adapt. Well, what do you need to do to handle coronavirus, or what's happening for a whole bunch of people who have had it and maybe no symptoms, and or people with symptoms coming out of it? You need adaptability. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. If we can really talk about it, focus on it, believe in it, are we ourselves doing the things right now that honor those principles as well? Absolutely. So I think it's just really important that we think about chiropractic principles and success principles. I learned my first coach years and years ago, literally had me pay attention to media, no newspapers, and there was no social media, but literally the phases or the days that I'm the best through this, completely stay off of social media. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds crazy. We're talking about podcasts. I'm not saying I don't listen to an Audible book, or I'm not saying, but I consciously choose what I listen to. And that's the power of podcasts over sometimes the dribble on social media, or you go through your feed and there's one article that says this and the next article says something contradictory. Mm-hmm. And if we're not careful, if we're not choosing what we fill our brains up with, well, now we're kind of in wind, and it's more difficult with the principles. Yeah, absolutely. And I would also argue or say that a lot of times think of the repercussions of sharing some of these things that we are sharing. Now, I'm not saying like, hey, go out and share this or do this and don't do this, right? I'm not that kind of person. You live your life, I'll live my life. But I want it to be clear that like when we go out and we share some of these really aggressive natural or alternative health articles or videos and stuff, what happens is you might have 2,000 friends, and 2,000 of them still people of the public that may not be related to chiropractic. So I feel like that could get so scary and daunting for people if they see us sharing that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on that? Now, that's a personal opinion, but what are your thoughts on all that stuff? Well, it's interesting because if anybody looks at the things as I am, say, on social media a little bit, and I'm commenting on, the problem is it's an illogical world right now.
Right.
So we share something that is very logical to us, but you can't rationalize with someone else. When someone's in an illogical place, when they're in fear, when they're in emotion, then nothing that we say, prove to them or ram down their throat is going to make any difference. Right. But when you slip into the Socratic, when you can ask people questions. So if you're in your own practice, ask health questions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that your body will have more ability to adapt with a balanced nervous system, or more ability to adapt if you just keep doing the things you've been doing?
Right.
Do you think that a healthier host would be powerful? What do you mean by that? Well, your body's a host. So kind of going into almost more questioning, because again, some of it is just learning right now to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm against the face thing, and I'll just say that public. Microbiologist, my first degree. So it's so late to the game. We all know the science studies that the masks aren't beneficial, and why now 6 weeks into this are we kind of suddenly masking? But I don't get to choose that if I want to go and buy some food for my family.
Right.
So I have a face mask that says, "Be good to people." And it's a whole movement. I know the woman that is the CEO of the company, but that's the face masks that I got for my family. 2 college-age sons are back living with us right now. And we all wear out these masks that say, "Be good to people." And a lot of it, are we being kind to people when we try to ram our thoughts? Now, I'm saying stand for your principles. Absolutely. I'm talking about principles that just recognize that. Use those principles well. In your practice, use them really smartly.
Yes.
Really Socratically. Ask people questions that have them think.
Mm-hmm.
Ask people questions about, what is the death rate? What is the infected rate? Have you calculated that? Do you know what that is? And asking them. So, well, here's the number. So right now, as an example, I know that in Colorado, it's 17 deaths per 100,000 people. Well, what does that equate to?
Mm-hmm.
0.0017. You start to just have people think about and share, but I think be careful. You're not trying through social media to convince anyone of anything. Doesn't mean you can't share your principles, but also really share why,
mm-hmm.
or could you give people things to think about? Yeah. So that's powerful for anybody listening. It's like in practice all those years ago for me when people would look exhausted. I'd say, "Wow, you look really tired today." And a patient would say, "Well, I was up all night with my kids, they're teething." And instead of, I'd love to get on my soapbox. And
right.
It's hard not to, because I'm a driver personality. Instead of something in their throat, I learned to say, "Are you interested in hearing how we handle that at my house?"
Mm-hmm.
Never had to say no. The patient say, "I've been dying to ask you, how do you come in here? How are you in here early mornings? You have 3 sons. How are you not exhausted?" And then now the opening is there. Now they want to know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can have people interested by being more Socratic, you're going to thrive through a pandemic instead of trying to teach it, ram it down their throat. If you engage them, if you intrigue them, then they're going to be more open to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Mike, the podcast. So after we get back from this short break, we are continue with the value bombs and all of the expertise that Dr. Janice Hughes has to offer. So stay with us, and we will be right back to talk about how to handle this pandemic as you're going to open your own practice or reopen your practice. Stay tuned. Every chiropractic clinic needs a compliance program. If you are not sure what that includes or why you need one, let Dr. Robin from RHDC Consulting help you build your chiropractic compliance. If you are ready to get started, head to robin-hale.mykajabi.com and let Dr. Robin guide you to the end result. Dr. Christy Wick is revamping the landscape of women's chiropractic coaching. With a focus on connection and congruence, she's on a mission to empower lady DCs across the nation to create bold alliances their way. Get started at theelite.com. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now we're back. All right, so Doc, talk to us about opening a practice in the midst of a pandemic, right? And has this been done before? And will it happen again? How do we navigate this?
Well, I sure as hell hope we don't have another pandemic. But, again, if we stop and think about it, I think the challenge for someone just about to open their practice is we know how to build it. So what's to stop there being a lockdown next winter? Right away, if you are about to sign a lease. I was on the phone this week with a really wonderful doc that's relocated from being away internationally for a few years practicing. And her whole point is, I'm terrified to sign a lease. If I sign that lease and we go back into a lockdown and I'm starting a practice, then what do I do? So for some of you already, as you are saying, negotiating to open, negotiate right away for some free rent. Negotiate right off the top for your first few months free. And there's ways to do that. You can add to the length of the lease. You can, and you don't have to, you were on a 2-year, you could offer in a 2+2, which now is giving a landlord certainty of you probably staying active in those other 2-year terms, and they will be more open to negotiate a few months of free rent. So, there's ways to do those kinds of things. But the thing I want to really stress for all of you young practitioners, the best investment you can make is in yourself. And don't forget that. Like, I know that you've got debt. I know that there's a lot of fear related to, well, I need to go out and make this amount, and some people will offer you contracts, say even as an associate, where instead of a secured amount, they'll offer you a base. And instead of being afraid of that, say, wow, on. Because I can more than learn. I can more than hit those phones. How can the head doc help you do that? So I think a lot of it, Johnny, is understanding the power of the opportunity that a lot of people want help with health right now. And so if you're opening your own doors, be very creative too financially. Do everything lean and mean. Be very cautious right now. Have a great brand image, but really be cautious, like we were talking earlier about what you say, how you say it. Are you trying to ram things down somebody's throat? Instead, you want to be a resource in that community that you're. Some of you that have up are now somewhat in a bit of that early phase, and so if a practice dips by 20 or 30% short term, that's one thing if you've got volume or numbers to allow that dip. But if some of you are still young enough in your career, well, then you have to start to say, how do I stay really lean and mean? And is this the time right now to actually go to a landlord? Last week I talked to a doctor that said, I can never do that. I can't. I would feel terrible. And I said, well, how do you know until you call that landlord if they might not be able to give you a break right now? And we held this sandwich, called the landlord gave her 3 months free rent. Right off. And the landlord said, look I'm in a position that I can do that. Some landlords might not be able to, but because you asked, I'm willing to not just do it for a month, I'm willing to do it for 3 months. So part of this, I think, young enough in your career, like, again, don't be afraid to be hungry, to do the hustle. Like, you guys have hustled all the way through school, and that sometimes you're trying to figure it out. Well, the same thing now, try to figure it out, but don't be afraid to also reach out and ask for help.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of people in the profession, like, that's how'd we get connected, Johnny? I don't know. I think you reached out, city or something. But again, like, people are going to offer ideas or input or give different resources, but don't hesitate to ask. Now more than anything, be willing to ask landlords for a break, or again, get creative. There's a young doc that was a couple weeks ago, luckily hadn't signed a lease yet, was a little bit uncertain. And so as we talked about it, at the end of the day, what she realized is she was going to sign a lease that was going to cost her way too much money. She was going to try to open way too big, too soon. Thank goodness there was no ink on that agreement yet. And that's allowing her to really revisit the model she's going to do. Now, hasn't found a space, adjusting and found cash. She's got her software. She's got her online booking. And booking has her go to them to care for them, making cash doing it while she's looking for a new, smaller space.
That's awesome.
So some really good things can come from all of this. So it's a matter of don't be afraid to reach out to people for some help.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think I wrote down 3 major points that you made, and 3 major takeaways was negotiate at any cost, right? I mean, it's worth a shot. And you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So what's the worst thing that's going to happen when you pick on, or you go to you probably pick the phone, you call your landlord and you say, hey, look, here's my situation. Here's what we own. Or if you're taking out a new lease, right, and you simply say, hey, here's the situation I'm in, and here's how long I can be here. And you mentioned, hey, maybe extend it a little bit on the back end and say, hey, look, I'll stay an extra 3 months if right now we can work something out, right? And always, you have to invest in yourself. And that's something that we talk about heavily here at the Legendary Chiropractor, and that is something heavily we recommend for everybody. I don't care, first quarter or pre-chiropractor, graduated 30 years of practice, right? Everyone in between. And we recommend, because it's so important not only to invest in yourself, but also to gauge where other people are at and get other people's opinions, right? Because some things, when I started speaking with you and Dr. Kim and Dr. Shaylin, there were so many doors opening up. And I was like, I don't know, I didn't even know these existed, right? But I had, you have it here, but you don't have it like in front of you, right? And that's something that's really hard, but that's something really cool about, resources and coaches and mentors and all sorts of different people that you can reach out to, right? Not only in the budget, but also in your branding. Make a sick logo and run with it and just use it, right? And culture, camaraderie, and community around that brand. And that's how you be resourceful.
Yeah. The power of that brand, I cannot say enough. Yeah. And brand well and feel great about it. Like there is a clinic that I work with. So I don't coach a lot anymore. I more offer mentorship and connections and resources for people. But I do have a few private clients. One is a client that totally relocates back into startup even after a very seasoned practice, but really got clear with the brand. And that clinic has not even been open 2 years now. And you know that through a pandemic, the most they were down, 1 week, they were down 2%. And then right back up on track.
That's awesome.
And that's based on them. That's based on their brand, the clarity of the brand, the consistency of the brand, the understanding of their people, of the community, the relationships that they build. You build businesses like that and to scale.
100%. Yeah. So now that we kind of helped and navigate some opening up of new docs, how do we reopen, right? It's like we talked about Kentucky, we talked about Colorado a little bit earlier. Tell us what's going on in some of these states and how do people navigate that reopening process and maybe some reactivation for some of those patients as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different reasons that people have been closed. Some have closed because they themselves have been concerned. Some states, there's so much confusion. Kentucky was the only state in the U.S. that basically forced closure. But a lot of the businesses were forced to close. Mm-hmm. Now, some, again, was on multiple levels. Some in Colorado, for example, chiropractic is the governor, but the governing body basically said no to being open, or they put such restrictions on it that you can go in, you can see someone that's so acute, but you have to prove that over 3 months they wouldn't be worse without the care. Like, I mean, it was almost untenable for some people. So whatever the reason, and then the challenge when you had to close or when you're down to minimal is the thought of ramping it back up. I had very skillful chiropractors saying, I can't do this again. I had to build and do so much many years, I can't do this again. And I'd listen, but then I also pulled the bullshit card.
Right.
Because I said, are you making it about yourself or are you making it about the practice? Are you making it about the people? And I guarantee you, for anybody listening, if you're back in those early stages of reopening, it's all just about a plan. You know, and the more you can talk to people, get a plan in place. You know, you probably can't tackle it all in the first week, but literally, I'm going to do one. How do you make these crazy patients? Like face masks. If I was going to practice some of these states, you're making face masks. So part of it is we just get about the business of figuring the system out. You know, you go in your first day or your first week with a modified schedule, but you pretty quickly, you're a really smart chiropractor. You're going to figure out how to more effectively clean the tables, how to more effectively move people through the clinic. I have one clinic that the more we talked about, I've never seen their clinic, but we really figured out that they've got a back door that goes out onto a patio that was just always what they used personally. But the clinic, people coming in the front and going out so that two people meeting each other. So it's all kind of the perception. A lot of the modifications, you just have to help patients feel safe.
Right.
So some of it is the way, a few weeks ago, I was talking to a practitioner that she was going in and seeing acute people, but she found people really afraid. And we helped her come up with the wording for a very simple letter that she sent out to her entire database. Because a whole bunch of chiropractors listening, you probably haven't stayed as connected with your database as you could have. So we had her send a letter out to her database confirming that she was essential, that the clinic was open, modifications were being made. From the time she clicked send, then to ring. And literally over the day and a half for the rest of the week after she sent that, she saw as many people as she'd seen in the 3 weeks before. So you just start to see that some of it is just let people know you're open, let people know you're making modifications. And so part of that is, again, with your brand, just reach out to people, reconnect with people. And you don't have to start over. You know, it's not that you've got to go back and tackle it all, but just I encourage people to just take some simple steps and reconnect with your database. Call some of your patients up. If you have been totally closed, call 15 or 20 of your best clients and say, look, I'm getting started next week and here's what that's going to look like. Modified schedule, but let's get you guys in. Right. So if anything, it's a way to almost clean your practice up too.
Yeah. And those people coming back are the people that get it, right? And get that big idea that we talk so heavily about and want better health, right? And then you're going to always have those new patients that come in because of this, right? And you shouldn't be scared, in my opinion, to be running ads and still, promoting yourself and your practice if you have the budget for it, because now is, like we talked about at the beginning of this podcast, now is one of the best times and one of the best markets in order to get in front of this health revolution that's about to take place. And I firmly believe that.
Everybody's online. Yeah, the crazy part is everybody's online and ads are the cheapest that they have probably been in 5 years.
Yep.
Just be really smart, be really fun, and be focused on inclusive, really empowering people about health, having them come in to have a good baseline, welcoming them in, so good ads on brand, and they're going to be the cheapest ad that you're ever going to spend on.
Right. Absolutely. And it's going to be the opposite message in all the right ways of what's actually taking place, right? It's going to be people are seeking to get out of this fear-based mentality and this spiraling effect that we're in right now. And now I'm not saying to push out like a bunch of content of natural stuff like you were saying at the beginning of pushing things down. Hey, Dr. John, I'm here, guys. I'm here for my community. Here's what we do. We're doing here new protocols, et cetera, et cetera. And you can really do a lot with that. And then what's cool about it is you take that video you made for the ad, slap it in an email, and send it out to your entire patient database like you were just talking about, and it tells, however many thousands of people at once, right? So that's pretty cool.
We had one chiropractor, we had her come up with a series of 10 videos that she was going to send only to her database. Perfect. And they were so creative. Her first video was all about how to make the modifications for your new stay-at-home office. And she was so creative. She used the whole thing of toilet for everybody in the beginning to prop up the laptop. Like 3 minutes, made it fun, engaging, creative, really shared with patients. She was closed and she said, I've got to bring you some messages because I can't with you physically. Right. I'll be back as quickly as I can. If you're in an emergency need, please contact me. Mm-hmm. So she sent out, over this time, she sent out a series of 10 different videos. Brilliant branding, really creative. She, I know, already has such strong relationships. She'll have absolutely. Yeah. I think a genius idea. And we are going to take a quick break, thank our last few sponsors here, and then we come back. I want to hear some closing remarks from Dr. Janice Hughes and where you can find out more about her and To Inspire Women, their coaching company as well, to get some help and begin investing in you. We'll be right back.
Dr. Stu Hoffman, founder and president of ChiroSecure Malpractice Insurance, is the foremost expert in both risk management and risk avoidance. Understanding the everyday challenges of today's practicing chiropractor and the current public perception of chiropractic has made ChiroSecure the fastest growing malpractice insurance program of the last 28 years. Find out more at chirosecure.com. Imaging Services' primary business is chiropractic solutions. With over 45 years in the industry of helping chiropractors, Michael Tokash offers free consultations on building your business. In the past year, Imaging Services has installed over 100 X-ray machines and digital X-ray systems in over 42 states across the United States. For more, head to theimagingservices.com.
Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. Phenomenal. Thank you all for sticking around and tuning into the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. We are live with Dr. Janice Hughes. I would love, Doc, to hear some closing remarks from you, just kind of how to navigate, encompass everything that we talked about in this episode, how to navigate this best as a chiropractor and a chiropractic student. And then tell us where we can learn more about yourself and To Inspire Women.
Sure. I love the opportunity, Johnny, first of all, just to have these kinds of conversations. I think we need to address all of this head on. And I'm a really big advocate that where the first place to focus is like inside our heads, our mindset. And I say that, like, please know, I call and label my own pity parties. I have some days, one of the days I woke up just pissed off about this, like the ridiculousness of it, but then it's up to me to say, how do I manage that mindset? Mm-hmm. So let me have my pity party, but then let me get my head on right. So for everyone listening, I think start with your mindset. What are you telling yourself? What are you filling in? If you are going to look at stats, if you're going to look at some of this, how do you weave it into a way that again, really empowers you versus immobilizes you? So start with your mindset and then actions. Like you can see me talking about even chiropractors that have, say, been forced to shut down, and it feels like a mountain you're trying to climb back up, but literally like one step at a time, one action at a time. And I say those things because I've been a coach. I've coached thousands of chiropractors. I've raised money for a biotech company. I've done a lot of different roles. And if you can work on those two things, your mindset, what you're thinking, what you're feeding your brain, and then simple congruent actions, you can change anything. Mm-hmm. Over the years, I've seen chiropractors do unbelievable things. I've seen people double practices in no time. Now, again, like that's through challenging times. Like that's not only just, during the good times. So, these are coaching principles. So the first thing, Johnny knows us through To Inspire Women. I'm really fortunate to partner with what I consider two of the most successful chiropractors. In all my years, I've been exposed to a lot of great chiropractors, but Dr. Kim Carpenter and Dr. Shaylon Osborne are just superior. They both have really amazing practices, and I want to emphasize amazing families. So they really have that balanced and very values-driven life. So together, all of us have done a lot of free resources. So we've got unbelievable ebooks and marketing, 50 ways to fill your practice, and things that are timeless, basically. So they're not, we just produce them now. These are things and tools that have worked and been used for me to coach thousands of chiropractors. And then together we've all put them into a much more, tech savvy format. So I'm sure, Johnny, you can include some of those free ebooks, free resources, but part of it too, like with my years and mentorship and the different things I've done, people can just reach out, people can private message me. Like I said at the beginning of this, I've been busier than I've been in years because of the connections that I have, but also because that's what I can do. I can give back now. Like I feel like we have a complete lack of leadership in our profession. I feel like some of our political leaders, our state leaders, I feel like, again, some of the leadership has gone underground. And I've always seen myself as someone that helps build the next generation of leaders. So that's a lot of you listening. Like you are leaders in healthcare. You're leaders in your community. So please just even private message me through Facebook and I'd be happy to help.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, Doc. I appreciate your time. And that link is below on the screen right here, toinspirewomen.com. You can learn more. And it's also linked up above in the description. You can either click on sponsor goodies, or you can click on the link before that, which will take you to their actual coaching page. And you'll see a blueprint that you can download. You'll see ebooks that you can download. You'll see all sorts of cool things. So please check out To Inspire Women. Invest in yourself, like Dr. Janice said. Take care of that mindset. And that's what the first step in their blueprint is, the mindset. Getting that mind right for practice, getting that mind right for your family, getting that mind right for all of your relationships. And I love what you said about actions, because I just made a post on this on my Doctor Professional page, and it was about setting actions, not goals. So goals are great, but they're a lot of times future paced and they're future tensed, right? And they're easy to write off, and they're easy to say, I didn't get it this year, next year. I planned it for 2022 anyways, so we're just going to get to it when we get to it. Setting actions gives you tiny, microscopic, tangible steps that you can start taking literally today, tonight, after we get off this podcast, and you can start writing down. You can start doing whatever you have to do to create those emails that we talked about, to make a video, right? And so set actions for yourself. Worry about the goals a little bit later, but right now it's about getting back in your practice. It's about taking care of your community, or if you're a recent grad, it's about opening up a practice or stepping into your associateship and absolutely crushing it, because now is a great time to be a leader, not only in chiropractic, but it's a phenomenal time to lead your community to better health and wellness as well. So, Dr. Janice, I love you. I thank you for being on the show as usual, and I hope that everyone heads to toinspirewomen.com as well as legendarychiro.com to check out all of the free things that we have and that we are offering as well. And you can watch all past podcast interviews and listen to them on our website as well, legendarychiro.com. I love and appreciate you. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you again, Dr. Janice.
Bye.